Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Reviewed, where I review Gatwa's first season, and oh boy, we are already on the penultimate episode of Gatwa's first season, series, whichever way you want to call it. Season 14, series 14, they're calling it season 1. To me, it's season 40, and the penultimate episode, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. I was actually wondering if I should review this episode individually, or rather save it for next week and just review it and the finale together, since they are two-parters. It's kind of weird. It's the first two-parter of this season so far. I'm not really sure what to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to review this one individually, and let me just open up by saying I love this episode. This whole season has been, to me, just trying to be Doctor Who but modernized. I said this a couple of times. The first couple of episodes, they were very inherently Doctor Who, but there was just something different about that. I mean, I said endlessly about how I think that Space Babies, the episode that opened the season, was so incredibly dumb and ridiculous, and yet at the same time a familiar Doctor Who concept, just, with the ridiculousness taken up to 12, 14, whatever. And that somehow has gradually, that great level of ridiculousness has somehow gradually went down and down and down all throughout the season. Somehow the episode still maintaining a certain level of ridiculousness, because, I mean, it's Doctor Who, it kind of have to have that, but over time the episodes started to become more serious, and the more I liked them. The further we went through this season, the more I liked the episodes, and this episode so far is my favorite, particularly because of certain things that happen towards the end, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, so right off the bat, UNIT is back. We're back on contemporary Earth. We're back in UNIT headquarters, the Avengers Tower of UNIT, if you will. We get to see Rose Noble again. There's a meeting between the two companions. I just love whenever current companions meet past companions. It's still kind of hard to consider Rose Noble a past companion. Hard to consider her a companion to begin with, because she didn't really travel all that much. That's just some gripes I still have about the 60th anniversary specials. But yeah, it's great to see that they're just getting along, and I love that. I love that. It always kind of seemed weird to me how Rose responded to Sarah Jane when she first met her. I mean, companions meeting other companions has always been fun, I think. I mean, going all the way back to Tegan and Turlough interacting with Susan, or whatever. So yeah, I like when these things happen, and I love when companions get along with each other. And of course, speaking of companions, we got Kate Stewart, the Vlinks is back, and some new faces in UNIT, which kind of makes me question something a little bit. So we got this new character, Morris Gibbons, the new scientific advisor, the role that used to be populated by the Doctor at one point or another. And he's the new UNIT scientific advisor. But then what happened to Shirley Ann Bigham? Where did she go? Like, she was introduced very well in the 60th specials, and it looked like she was going to become a very regular character. So sort of like the new Osgood. Where is she? What happened to her? Why did you get rid of her? It's weird. I mean, they made such a big splash about including her in a disabled actress. They're playing a disabled character. Where did she go? Why get rid of her in favor of another character with another disability? Like, don't get me wrong. It's great that they're giving opportunities to actors with disabilities, but just when you just bringing them in and out and barely giving them time to develop their characters, it's kind of doing more harm than good. The intention is there, the good intention is there, but I think the execution is just not. And yeah, at least Kate Stewart is the one constant, but I'm not really the biggest fan of them constantly changing scientific advisors like it's some sort of a revolving door of scientific advisors. The unit scientific advisor is a respectable place that should be reserved for people who stick around for a while, like Osgood did, at least for a bit. But that is a minor tangent. I think uh, overall, it's nice. It's nice that we're at least it looks like we're getting some more unit stories, and I'm always for that. I always love that. I don't want unit to completely take over the show like they did back in the 70s, but it would be nice to see more unit stories every once in a while, and it would be nice that the Doctor just has a place to go back to every once in a while for these unit stories whenever he's dealing with something so powerful that he needs the help of Kate Stewart and unit. And I really do like what Kate Stewart has to do in this episode. I think she really does live up to the legacy of her character. Obviously, you're never gonna replace the Brigadier. You're never gonna become as influential in Doctor Who as the Brigadier, and that goes for several paragons, if you will. But yeah, so it's nice that Kate Stewart is not trying to live up to the legacy of her father, and I think Gemma Redgrave is doing a great job portraying this character throughout all these different seasons in Doctor Who with all these different Doctors. But yeah, I really do think that we need a big scene, a big action sequence with her in the final episode, because sadly, other than speak nostalgia and a couple of give a couple of orders to people, she didn't do much this episode. And from the way this episode ends, I would hope they're setting up for something very big with this character in the next episode. Just please do not kill her off. That's all I'm asking, because considering what she's going up against in the end of the episode, it's doesn't look too good. But I'm hoping that she sticks around for many more years to come. Now, back to Earth, back to the main plot of the episode. For the most part, it really did seem off to me. It seemed weird that they're basically having two completely separate and unrelated storylines, unrelated subplots, and yet somehow they're both kind of interconnected. So it kind of seems weird to me. Okay, so is the A plot this Susan Triad character and the mystery there, anagram TARDIS, got that pretty easily right off the bat. Everyone else did. It wasn't that big of a surprise. So is she the A plot, or is the A plot the mystery of Ruby Sunday? And first of all, I just love that Ruby just brings her mother along for the ride and into unit, and the Doctor just allows it to happen and just approves it because he's the Doctor. Everything he says, unit listens to. So yeah, he can bring guests if he likes. First of all, the technology that they use to restore kind of the image of that day on the Christmas day in 2004 from the video cassette. First of all, I mean, 2004. Pretty sure DVDs were around back then. I'm not an expert, but I was alive back then. I'm pretty sure DVDs were already around. So why are they still using VHS tapes? Furthermore, CCTV cameras had better reception back then. So I don't know what's there. I guess whatever happened was interfering with the video quality there, and that's why it looks so bad. But I mean, I guess that's one way of explaining it. But the room itself, when they first introduced it, I thought it was going to be like the holodeck from Star Trek, like they were going to completely recreate the entire scenario and just be able to walk around in it. And then they weren't, and they were forced to stand at one place, and that kind of falls apart a little bit, because you can kind of see that they're not exactly standing in the exact same spot the entire time. They're not moving much, but they're kind of, still not staying in the same spot, which is what the Doctor said was essential and necessary. And that one unit officer guy does manage to take a few steps in that area without anything bad happening until, of course, he walks behind the TARDIS. But I mean, that's a separate issue. So they could have walked a few steps explore the area. So I would have liked if that room itself was done better, but they set it up in the episode. The Doctor pretty much makes a bit of a point to say that no, they just cobbled the whole thing together from scratch. So they didn't do a perfect job creating that one room. So that makes sense why it falters so badly. So yeah, there's that. That's my bit of criticism on that. As far as Mel, I love seeing Mel back. She's never really been one of my favorite companions. I have grown to appreciate her a lot more through the Big Finish audio stories. But for the most part, she hasn't really been a top 10 or even a top 5 or even top 10 companion for me. But it's great to see her in this episode, and I love how she interacts with this doctor specifically. I mean, remembering how she basically kind of forced the doctor to go on a diet. And yeah, she's always been very strict with the doctor, and that strictness continues with this doctor. She's a no nonsense, no bullshit type of character, and I really like that about her. But unfortunately, she doesn't really do much in the episode besides, just the nostalgia factor of her interacting with Shurigatwa. Of course, I mean, she's surveilling the Susan Triad character, and she does do a lot of field work, which is great to see. But again, just like with Kate Stewart, I hope they're really saving something special with this character for the next episode. And yeah, so the Susan Triad character, the Harold Saxon Bad Wolf mystery type thing for this episode, the Madame Kavarian of this season. First of all, I love that they added the couple of scenarios we didn't see, and then when the flashback scenes we see the scenes from the Space Babies and from Boom, the episode Boom, and from Dot and Bubble, and then they add a couple of new versions of that character that we didn't see on screen. So I like that. It kind of shows that the Doctor and Ruby basically had other adventures outside the TV world, which we didn't get to see. Maybe we'll see them in a comic, maybe we'll see them in a novel, but for the most part, yeah, it's the Doctor and companion traveling to places off screen, and I love that. I love when these things happen. And as for the reveal, I think I've been skating around this long enough. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about this episode without mentioning the big reveal at the end. So yeah, we all know the the anagram, Susan Triad or S Triad, anagram of TARDIS. Yeah, not too surprising. Even I got that. It was the wrong acronym. It was, sorry, I keep saying acronym. It was the wrong anagram. We've been looking in the wrong place this whole time. Now, let me know in the comments below if the same thing happened to you, that you were so busy looking at where the arrow was pointing that you weren't looking at where the arrow was pointing away from, to paraphrase Peter Capaldi's Doctor. So yeah, everyone's just so laser focused on Susan. Okay, Susan, she's the Doctor's granddaughter. She's a time lady of sorts. Now, run off the bat, I did not believe for a second that she was Susan. I figured if they were gonna bring Susan back, they would most likely have used Carol Ann Ford, because why wouldn't they reuse Carol Ann Ford? Just, makes the most sense to me. But also, I mean, just like with Mel, too many unanswered questions. Okay, so the Doctor left her in the future. So what? She found a way to come back to the past, regenerate, and start up a company? Of course, Susan being a time lady, she would know not to mess with history, which is what this Susan Triad character did. So, again, a lot of hints towards it not being Susan. And of course, because it was so in your face, it was so obvious that they were trying to spell it out for you that she is Susan, that right there says it all. It's not Susan. So, I don't know if anyone fell for that. I certainly didn't. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people didn't. I'm not, that smart. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who did not immediately fell into the trap of believing that she's actually Susan. But like I said, looking what the arrow is pointing at, not what the arrow is pointing away from, the anagram was the wrong anagram. And the character Harriet just showed up and no one really the doctor didn't really notice it too much. I mean, they didn't even draw too much attention to him. The doctor draws attention to seeing the Vlinks again. There's some time and effort diverted to focusing on the Morris Gibson character. I think that's his name. Seeing Rose again, seeing Kate Stewart again, seeing all these different people, and barely any time at all spent on introducing this new character Harriet. Okay, I thought that was weird at first, and then you realize by the end that her full name is Harriet Arbinger, just like Henry Arbinger from the Devil's Court episode. So yeah, in the long list of things, of regular things you find in anyday life, the Doctor Who is determined to make you afraid of. The Doctor Who's made you afraid of shadows, of stone angels, things you see at the back of your the back corner of your eye. Doctor Who seems to be determined to make you afraid of anything you might encounter on a day-to-day basis. And now, then, the new thing on the market: people whose names start with an H. Just, you can no longer trust anyone whose name starts with an H. So, Henry, Harriet, Harry, Harold, Howard, any of these people can be a harbinger of a specific god. So, that's the big takeaway, I think, from this episode. But I mean, if Henry Arbinger was the harbinger of Maestro, the god of music, who is Harriet the harbinger of? And now we finally get to the big mystery from the giggle, the breadcrumbs that have been laid all throughout this Shurigatwa era of the one who waits. Who is waiting? Who could be so powerful that even the toy maker wouldn't dare to cross his path? Who could that possibly be? Again, the anagram Susan Triad Technologies, Su Tech. Sutek, the Destroyer, last of the Osirans. Mind blown! I yelled, I screamed Sutek's name out loud when they mentioned when it started happening. I mean, it kind of started to hit me when Harriet was saying he has many names. He's known by Seth, the Beast, Satan. I was like, oh, wait. And then I saw that the name on the screen, the name Susan, removed the Zen. They added the Sue. I already completed the full name before the show did it for me. Sutek, a character from the episode The Pyramids of Mars, one of the all-time greats, one of my favorite villains from Doctor Who, one of the absolute number, I don't know, at least top 5 or top 10 characters I wanted to see come back to Doctor Who, and they finally did it. They finally gave us the return of Sutek. Gabriel Wolf, you lucky SOB, you got to reprise the character that you brought life to all the way back in 1975, was it? When the episode aired. So yeah, Gabriel Wolf voiced the character of Sutek. He also voiced the character of the Beast in the Ood two-parter. And now he's back as Sutek the Destroyer. 91 years young and still bringing life into this franchise. Now, obviously, he voiced the character Sutek on Big Finish on a number of occasions. This is not his this is not his first time doing the character since 1975. But, I mean, he's voicing Sutek in the TV show again. And Sutek looks amazing in this episode. It's definitely one of those characters that benefited so much from the updated visual effects. Because, I mean, the original Sutek costume was great. I loved it. until they removed his helmet and you see the true face of Sutik. That looks horrible. But I mean, this new version of Sutik looks so good. It's amazing. Now, a lot of questions that need to be answered. Lots of uh, things on my mind. How long has Sutik been surrounding the TARDIS? Why just now? How is he more powerful than the Toymaker? Because the Toymaker said he wouldn't go anywhere near him. Lots of questions that need to be answered. That, of course, is a story for another time. We'll leave it up to the final episode to answer all these questions. See, that's why I was afraid of doing this review, because as much as I was excited to see Sutek back, that's kind of the only thing we got right now. But I will say I loved the makeup work on Susan Triad and Harriet when they became Sutikified, if that's even a word that I just invented. Yeah, it's definitely a much needed improvement on the effects from the Pyramids of Mars episode, but it looks really good, and I cannot wait to see the Doctor tangle with Sutek one more time. I mean, he really got lucky last time, you know. In the Tom Baker era, he really got lucky in his confrontation with Sutek the first time. Got through it by the skin of his teeth. So I really cannot wait to see how the Doctor is going to battle Sutek this time around. But yeah, we'll just have to wait for the next episode to drop so I can watch it and then say if I'm disappointed or if it's exactly what I wanted and exactly what I needed. So that is it for me talking about the Legend of Ruby Sunday. Still, that's still another question that needs answering. We still need to figure out who or what Ruby Sunday is, and more specifically, who her mother is. Is her father Sutek? What if her mother is Isis? Not the terror organization, the Egyptian goddess, who that's where the Osirans got their inspiration from in Doctor Who. So maybe, maybe not. We'll see. That is a story for another time. I will see you next week. Hopefully, the finale will be satisfying enough for me. That is it for now. So, goodbye. And, kneel before the might of Sutek. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.